Tonight we're moving on to Avadim Hayinu. So we spoke out last time. The answer to the questions of the Manashtana, according to the Ritva Mashashanim, is Avadim Hayinu, the paragraph of Avadim Hayinu. One of the reasons why we do actions to remind us also of being slaves is in order that a person to successfully feel Yetzias Mitzrayim. And in order to do that, he has to first be Maskal B'Gnos, and then afterward he could be Messiah Mishvach. So first we start talking about how Klal Yisrael began at a lower state, and in the end, how we got to the elevated state. Through speaking the whole transition, you could truly feel the gratitude for what Hashem has given us, which I think is the ultimate goal of the night. We need to get this state to feel that we went out of Mitzrayim in order that we could reach this high state of gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like we mentioned last time, there are three unique aspects of the mitzvah Haggadah Levincha versus on the night of Seder versus Yetzias Mitzrayim that we mentioned the rest of the year every single day. The first aspect we spoke about in the Manashtana is that the whole Seder should be in question answer form. The second concept we're discussing now of being maskal with B'Gnos and then Sayim Mishvach, speaking out and delivering the transition of when we were in a low state to when we ended up in an elevated state. Like the Ritva explains, that the reason we speak out the transition in order to get to a state of praising Hashem, that He took us out from the trash heaps of the poor, like a garbage dump, basically, to this elevated status of being Am Yisrael. Now, explain this on a deeper level. The Bishop Sachim and on Kuf Tesayin Amid Aleph brings the concept of being Maskal B'Gnos and Messiah Mishvach. The Gemara brings a Machlokes Amarayim. What is the beginning with Gnos? Rav says should start from discussing how we were Oivdei Avodah Zarah. Our forefathers served Avodah Zarah, and Shmuel says should start from Mitzrayim, how we were Avadim. And the halacha, like the Rambam, the Rach, the Rif, they speak out, and that's how we paskin. We hold like bullshitas, and therefore we say in the Haggadah Avadim Hayinu, we discuss how we were Avadim Mitzrayim, and we also discuss Mitchila Oivdei Avodah Zarah. In the beginning, we were Oivdei Avodah Zarah. So we fulfill both Rav and Shmuel Shita. But what is the fundamental machlokes between these two opinions? According to Shmuel, that we need to start discussing the low state of Klal Yisrael when they were actually Avadim. The essence of the whole concept and the transition that we're analyzing is that we are starting to observe how we were on a lowly status to appreciate the creation of Klal Yisrael actively. Since ultimately we're trying to get the result that we have a great gratitude for Hashem, making us into a nation. And in order that we should succeed in seeing properly the good of what it means that Hashem made us into a nation, we start by discussing how we originally were subjugated by the Mitzrim, and then Hashem ultimately took us out and made us Am Yisrael. So we're basically discussing the transition of being Avadim and Hashem giving us the salvation and making us into Am Yisrael, the creation of Klal Yisrael. However, according to Rav, the appreciation that we're trying to develop is not just the creation of Klal Yisrael. It's appreciating choosing Klal Yisrael, which is essentially observing and appreciating the roots of what eventually led to the creation of Klal Yisrael. We originally were Oivdei Avodah Zarah. Hashem chose Avadim Hayinu, who eventually became the root of what eventually created the creation of Klal Yisrael. So explaining Avadim Hayinu inside. Say Avadim Hayinu l'Parah Mitzrayim. Again, one opinion of what the Maskal B'Gnos was, observing how originally we were Avadim. V'yotzienu Hashem Elokeinu Misham b'yod chazak. Hashem took us out there against b'yod chazak with strong hand against the mitzvah's will. With Roya Netua, we translate that as saying with an outstretched hand, but the Gra says that it means He took us out presuming, which means publicly. Now, if you'll claim that only the people who were redeemed from Mitzrayim are able to say this, but we who are not, we're not, who are not there have no ability to say this. It's not true because it says after Ilu loy hoitzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if Hashem didn't take us out and our forefathers from Mitzrayim, it says anu v'neinu mishubadim hayidu, we would still be subjugated to Mitzrayim. Now the Rishonim ask, how is it possible to say that we would still be Mitzrayim? HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a shvuah to Avram Avinu, the Bris Bein Absarim, without any conditions, that at the end of time he would take us out of Mitzrayim, like it says, Avadim Hayinu Atem Arba Me'ashana, that they would go out after 400 years, right? So the Ritva explains, it really means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't take us out. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't take us out of the result of the shvuah that he made initially, we ourselves would not have been worthy based on our own actions. We learned from the Mitzrayim, we learned our actions, we got mixed into them. We would have been mixed into the nation of the Mitzrayim. Our Averis basically were carrying us down, and it would have not for the Shvuah, and therefore we need to appreciate the Shvuah and the promise that Hashem made to Avram Avinu that he would essentially one day help create the nation of Klal Yisrael. The Avudraham explains that we could have caused through our Averis that the Shvuah could have been mevatel. So Hashem had to take us out to make the shvuah a reality, and that's why we start, and to recognize where we came from, and how Hashem. We have to have gratitude to Hashem for bringing us to come to create us into Klal Yisrael.